this all looks super powerful. It's exciting. It's obviously like the core stuff you've got even here at the top is, data you can really really get into it. And there's a lot to learn from it. So, I mean, it looks like a huge step forward. Things that I've been trying to do for literally several years and just like banging my head against various walls and different software stacks. Like every time I try to do something in Paint Scout, it's like, oh, that's not actually going to work or whatever. So like, I love it.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Chris from Boolean Automation, and we free you up to do what you love. We automate all of the mundane, boring data entry and data management problems that are needed to run a painting business. And I've got something a little different for you today. In today's video, I had a recent client call where we were showing some interfaces that we built out for this client. And I just thought the walkthrough of what we went through is super common questions that we get from people. So this is just a short clip of a base that we built and me kind of navigating and explaining how do we show, your production backlog, how many hours are there in your backlog, how much revenue, in which month do you have that backlog. And so that's the video. This is just a screen recording of me walking through it. At the end of the video, if you've got any questions or comments, or leave your comments during the video on other things you'd like to see, if you'd like to see more detailed walkthrough on how to do any of this, leave a comment down below and I'd be happy to do that. Enjoy the video. Exactly like what you're saying. It's really fun and cool to be able to, when you have all of the data in one place, to just be able to slice up the data how you want and show filters and all that, like everything. It's really, really, you start to see, you're going to become a believer in this. I learned about Airtable like a year and a half ago, or started using it. I heard about it like 5 years ago. And since that time, I just keep getting blown away by like, oh my gosh, this is even better. This is even better. This is awesome. So
you got
cool.
It. All righty. So starting at the beginning stages of when we move from the job is won and we are now doing the handoff of, this was a sales deal and now the ownership is moving from sales to production. And so the first thing that we're highlighting is, what are the first steps of now that the project has moved to production? And that's going to be where we are going to need to see a chance to schedule the project. In order for us to be able to schedule the project, there's going to be a lot of data points that need to happen. And Chris, this is what you were envisioning, kind of going through those different...
Yeah, this part briefly, but I think what he wants to see is the reporting on the sales dashboard. But it's good to know, like, functionally how it's getting updated.
Got it. And so the idea is all of the scheduling is happening within this calendar view for whoever is operations manager. Now, a lot of these roles can be built into, the responsibility falls into different people, or it's one person who's taking the lead on getting everything ready in order for production to happen. And now production's ready, project's ready, and now it's moving from calendar, like getting everything scheduled and then making sure all of the details are ready to go. And now it's moving to the responsibility of whoever is now the one on site. And then we're moving through on site and everything that is involved with being on site. And so that would be maybe a job leader who's going to have a lot more that they need to be able to be able to see detail wise. Otherwise, you've got your actual crew members who they don't need quite as many details. And so basically what they need is, what do they need in order to do the job? That's pretty simple and straightforward. And now it's time for invoicing. The job's been completed. There's some sort of checkout, some sort of issue in order for you to be able to say, like, yeah, everything's ready to go. It's now time for invoicing. And then we have invoicing that may be involved being a subcontractor or just your regular invoicing. So all of those steps of getting through the project are completed. Everything's invoiced and now we're good to go. And we need to see at this point our ability to forecast. You've got your production forecasting, your gross profit. We've
Go
got
to the sales, and then show the sale. Oh, no, up one more. Yeah, do the production dashboard there.
awesome. And then you've got your total backlog hours. We're scheduling dollar scheduled and production forecasting. So the next 30 days, the next 30 to 60, the next 60 to 90 hours scheduled. Again, same breakdown, total revenue produced per year.
And one thing to note on that, go back up, Kylie.
Yeah,
So
totally.
any one of those numbers, Alex, this is the part that's way better than Google Sheets, is if you were like, wait, we have $52,000 scheduled and 30 to 60 days out. What are those projects? You just click the arrow there, Kylie, on the top right of the number. And here's a list of the projects that are in that bucket.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then you can choose, like, if you wanted to see more data points when you click on that, we could add in like the sales rep of that job, or the currently assigned crew leader, or when the current start date is. All those things could be additional things that get added to that.
Cool. Very cool.
And the idea is because we have so many data points, what you need is a way for you to view what's important to you. So what we want to make sure is we are collecting the data as we're going through the life cycle of the deal. And then that way you have all the information that you need to be able to create the view that is the most applicable to what it is that you're trying to find. And we've got our gross profit percent by month, past 30 days gross profit percent based on the job leader, gross profit percent by estimator and project type, job leader revenue by week, month, and year, gross profit percent by estimator and crew leader, and then job leader availability, number of events scheduled. So whoever is creating the ongoing schedules needing to know who's available to actually work that based off of what days they have available. So this is more of like your at a glance, where are we? How can I very quickly be able to just kind of get a good view of what the state of the business is at this moment. But now what we need to go is go even deeper. It's more similar to that reporting that you had showed us that you've created in Google Sheet, and what we have defined that as benchmarking. Anything else here before I jump into the benchmarking, Chris?
No, I don't think so. There just one other thing, if you go back up, because I was looking at some filters and stuff that are possible. If you go ahead and refresh, Kylie, I just made an edit. So like, again, the thing that you're talking about, the pains that you've had with access and controls and stuff like that. So on the left, like, we have production, subcontractors, et cetera, right?
Mm-hmm.
Keep in mind that your production people, the only thing that they see is the stuff that's under the production interface. So they don't get to see any of this other stuff. Same thing, like, you can pick and choose, like, I want Sarah to see the office manager, the client advocate, and the sales, and she doesn't get to see anything else. So that's one very important note that's really powerful, is that everybody is interacting with the same data, but only the parts of it that you allow. And then let's say I do want to give I don't know why, but scroll down, let's say the profit by job leader a little bit higher, or gross profit by job leader right there. So Javier Gonzalez, see how he's negative? If you click on that, you can open it up, and there's, like, my test project that we've been playing with has been tanking Javier's results. But now we can see, like, what the heck? Why is he at a negative? Oh, it's because we've been assigning a bunch of fake expenses to Chris Kiefer, and that's why. You know what I mean? And you could say, like, if you want, I don't have it turned on right now, but you can actually allow clicking in further to that job. So I could say, I want to go deeper and see all the details of that job. But now let's say on my sales manager dashboard, they get the ability to dive deeper. But on my production dashboard, they only get the ability to see this. So, like, it's just, there's like layers upon layers of, like, how deep do you want to go and who gets access to what things. That's all possible. So what we've done to start with is we built a bunch of dashboards that we find useful or that we think painting companies find useful. And then if you're like, that's cool, but I want to do these other 5 things, or I want to limit it to these people, all that's possible. That just takes, some fine tuning of like, all right, let's dive in and just one by one, let's go through the report. Who gets this? Who doesn't? You know what I mean? So, but I would go back to, this is the realization I just had on this call, is the reason that this is a preferred way to do it is because you have the data points that are needed to fuel these dashboards are being updated in virtually real time by your staff who's actively using it on the front end, which is what Kylie was showing you first. So like, let's say if you go back up to or go show the sales dashboard again, but for like a couple of weeks out. So let's say that for in the dollar scheduled, open up the 150,000 in the 30-day thing. So like find a big project at the bottom. So like, let's say that Brown community management is actually going to get scheduled it got delayed by 3 months. So when your scheduler goes to her dashboard, and this one is under operations manager, and she goes to that community, go search for community. In this case, I'd probably do the project, or no, I guess that would be okay. Click all projects, Kylie. On the left, the filter, the tab.
All projects on the left.
There you go. So like right now it looks like you have, or it's scheduled for June. I can't remember what the name of it was. Anyways, the point being that let's say that it's no longer going to get done in June, it's going to get done in a different time. And as soon as she moves that for scheduling, your report is updated instantly of where that revenue is going to get produced, because it's all tied to what's the start date of the project that's driving that. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So
Yeah.
anyways,
everything's connected. I mean, if the project manager went in here and was like, oh, I know that project's moving, they drag and drop it or whatever, and it updates across all boards. But what you're saying is like, the person who is most on the front line of that data is entering it, and then it auto uploads.
Yeah.
So what about like what you're showing me, like, and what you're describing is like a little bit like QuickBook projects, and like if we just pick this topic of project financials, right? And you're talking about gross profit and those kind of things. That's obviously in here somewhere, but how do you enter expenses? How do expenses get entered into this system? Like job expenses.
So depending upon how well you have your expenses set up inside of like how you classify them, and I think though, like your QuickBooks is built out way better than most painting companies is. So if you go, Kylie, to the data, view the underlying data, and then go to transactions by vendor. So this was there's 2 different ones, the transactions by vendor and transactions by customer. This is like a real-time thing that we're trying to solve for this other client. And what we ran into was we found out that they put in their transactions by vendor, but they don't log their transactions to projects. So we were this is a direct extraction of data from QuickBooks, but we can't assign the expenses to projects in our database because they didn't assign it to a project in QuickBooks, right? So that's a problem. So what we're doing for them, if you go to the expenses tab, is they're manually putting in expenses into this expense table through a form. So they'd say like their crew leaders have a button that's like log expense, and they say I just bought tape at Home Depot for $5. And that, I think it's actually on, Kylie, the production. If you go to production dashboard and then click on a project, maybe I didn't add it yet.
Can I
Yeah.
show you what we do, and maybe you see a different way of doing it with what we're currently doing? Because I mean, we
Well, I
do.
would say that what I think would happen is,
Okay,
assuming that you do assign your QuickBooks transactions to projects,
we do.
when
Yeah.
we extract that data, go over to time tracking log, Kylie, to the left. This is the beauty when it does work the way that we want. This is also from QuickBooks Time. And I can't remember, do you use subs or W2?
So we're in Canada, so we just have employees and subcontractors, and we also have independent operators. Like,
But
I
they
mean,
do track time.
we have some that track time, and others are fixed price.
Okay.
And we also have employees where we track time. Yeah.
So the ones that are fixed, or sorry, that track time, do you guys use QuickBook Time or something else?
QuickBooks Time.
Okay, sweet. So this company uses QuickBooks Time, and this is really cool because it's extracting every day. It extracts the hours from the previous day and dumps it into the system.
Awesome.
And you can see that it's assigned to a project and the employee that logged that time. And then the other piece of this is, do you guys do adjusted hours? Are you familiar with that term?
Like rounded.
No, adjusted for like newer people. So like if you have an apprentice painter, he's not going to be as fast as a regular
Oh,
painter. So making
no,
sure that, so the
we're
way
not.
that,
We're not taking that into consideration
so this is a
currently.
really slick,
Yeah.
a slick way to do this, and it basically happens automatically. The idea is like an estimator is like, this is going to take 100 hours for a full wage painter that knows what they're doing. But if
Yeah.
I've got 2 apprentices on the job, I don't want to say that I missed productivity and penalize the crew leader because he was training some new guys. So it might have taken them 110 hours, but that's still great because they had 2 apprentice painters. That's the idea behind adjusted hours. So the way it works is you determine what is your full wage painter. So let's say it's $30 an hour, right? Then anyone that's under 30, if you go to the formula that's on in the people table. So like here's an example of all my crew members, and you can see that they're all at 22, 20, 17, whatever. If you scroll to the right, Kylie, there's the formula. And by the way, I know that once you learn how to use Airtable, Alex, we're going to come back to you in a year and you're going to have like invented some crazy new thing that I didn't know was possible. But you can see that they're saying that a full wage is $23 an hour. So if you're at $18 an hour, 18 divided by 23 is your multiplier adjustment for hours.
Mhm.
So 1 hour worked by an $18 an hour employee is actually 1 times 18 divided by 23. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like 18/23 of an
Yeah.
hour. So
Yeah.
if you go back to the time tracking log, again, those crews are just logging their time, but you can see that this person's multiplier is 9.956. He must be at 22 an hour. But if
Mhm.
you're at a full wage, like he's over 23 an hour. So every hour that he works is just worth 1 hour. Does that make sense? And then
Yeah.
you multiply that. So the hours worked is like, look at his hours worked on in the left column is 6.85. His adjusted hours is still 6.85 because he's a full wage painter. Up
Mhm.
above, work 2.61 multiplied by 0.95, his adjusted hours is only 2.5.
Got
So
it.
that you can show your productivity based on how are we doing, taking into consideration the skill level of the people working on that. But then when you
Cool.
multiply by wage, so what's this person's wage? We can factor in their wage burden with taxes and insurance or whatever else you want to throw in there, and then show their wage plus burden, the wage during this project in case they get raises. We don't want it to historically change past stuff. And then if you keep going to the right, you'll see the total payroll wages for that particular time entry was 57.57 for, and it looks like he had like 10 minutes logged or something right above that for $1.83.
Mhm.
But that's your now when we do job costing, we can sum any one of those columns because all the data is there. But keep in mind, all that we got from QuickBooks Time was when did they clock in, when did they clock out. So it gets dumped into our database, and now we've got all of this information for productivity, calculations, wages, burden, all of that. And then you can go to the projects table, Kylie. And this is where I would say you're probably like go to benchmarking view on the bottom left. So this is where you're probably going to find the most value of like all the things that you're talking about. Is right now we're grouping this by can you change the grouping to project? It's one more over.
That just be
It should just be project. Wouldn't it be project? We're in the projects table. Or I guess you have to group. That doesn't make sense. Maybe job number or project number.
I think
Yeah, do job number. So now you can see by job number, how did we do for actually, no, that's good. So this is showing you like job, whatever job number. And then if you scroll to the right, Kylie, you can see my estimated amount, or sorry, I'm just going to go through all the numbers that are here. Estimated amount, any accepted AWOs, any AWOs that were not accepted.
is that what you call additional work orders, or do you call them change orders out?
I used to call them additional work orders, but we did change to change orders because it doesn't, from a sales standpoint, it's putting the onus.
It could be add or subtraction technically. Yeah. But then, did you pay subs anything on it? What were our total wages? What was the burden, materials, equipment, commission, total job expense? And then all that, there's the adjusted efficiency right there. So that column, adjusted efficiency, is looking at your, look at the formula on that. I think it's hours actual divided by, so it's estimated divided by your actuals. So if your actuals are less, then you'd be at like a 99%.
Yeah.
But
that's the number on my spreadsheet. It's just grayed out because we haven't figured out how to get the data. But it's a number I want to know. So
yeah. And then you go all the way to the right and you can see our gross profit by job. And again, this is only showing jobs that are fully invoiced. So if jobs are not invoiced, they're not going to show up in this view. And then go back to the interface again. This is the final thing. Because we have all the data, go to the sales production dashboard. Because we have all the data in one place, scroll down, you can now say, I want to know my gross profit. I think it's by sales rep, a little bit higher. Go up. And right here, they only have one sales rep, so it's not as interesting. And they just started using this like 6 weeks ago. But you could see what's my gross profit by sales rep and by project type, or by job leader and project type, or by crew leader, or anyone that you want. Now you can run pivot tables in any direction. Like I've even thought it'd be cool once you have enough data. I want to look at job estimators across the top and job leaders on the side. And is there like combinations of estimators and job leaders that are off? Like they don't estimate well for this guy or whatever. You know what I mean? Anyways, all that's possible because, and then down below you can see like job leader revenue by week or by month. So if you want to see how much did a given person produce, you could do pivot tables in that way. You know what I mean? And look at total revenue produced, or how much did of the revenue we produced in September, how much was Martin versus Peter or whatever,
This all looks super powerful. It's exciting. It's obviously like, the core stuff you've got even here at the top is, data you can really get into it. And there's a lot to learn from it. So, I mean, it looks like a huge step forward. Things that I've been trying to do for literally several years and just like banging my head against various walls and different software stacks. Like every time I try to do something at Paint Scout, it's like, oh, that's not actually going to work or whatever. So like, I love it. My one kind of question, and I think the answer is probably going to be, we can do it however you want to do it, Alex. But like the dashboard interface, like that UX of what you're showing me here is so much more friendly than the spreadsheet thing we were looking at a minute ago with the project details, and you're probably familiar with it already. But the view, if I that QuickBooks project tab where it shows you the, like, obviously you said you were only showing me projects that were fully invoiced or completed.
Thanks so much for watching. What else would you like to see us do? Drop a comment down below, like the video, share this video if you found value in it, and we will see you in the next video.